Oh.
How are you? I'm well.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know,
Def-
it's so funny because I've never seen you. You look a
yeah.
lot like one of my best friends that I grew up named Cindy.
Oh,
Uh,
no way.
you could be like twinsies. It's
That's
crazy.
yeah, this is actually our first time seeing each other, so
I
it's good
know.
to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, very good to see you too. It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome. So thank you so much for your willingness to do this.
Sure.
I've got some structure to it, and so we are going to be obviously recording it, and it is going to be used for testimonials.
Yeah.
Worth it brand. So really, the topic today is like, really around your worth and how you've reclaimed your worth. And for you,
Right.
it's in the realm more of relationship, but how's that going to impact you becoming a lawyer and
Yeah.
being healthy? And I know. So anyway, so I'll be asking you questions and just a couple different things. I'm just going through here for my checklist. You're doing great. Like, you look right into the camera. You're natural. All
Yeah.
right. So you want to make sure you're looking at the camera versus kind of sometimes eyes will like look up with me, think more about the camera. If you can, answer in complete sentences. So the way that it'll work is I'm going to be asking you the question, then I'll mute myself because Zoom will kind of go back and forth, which is kind of weird. So I'll
Right.
mute myself. And before you answer each question, just say check 1, 2, just so that we know it's all about you, because I'm going to edit me out of this. We're
Sure.
also going to edit out any, thing that just you're like, blah, 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 blah. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Fantastic. So we're going to start with, and have fun. That's
Yes, definitely.
the requirement. Okay. So I'll ask you, to tell me a little bit about yourself. And so this is kind of like, like what you're up to in the world and what you do. And if you can say your name,
So my
yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So we're going to say, I'm going to mute myself. I'm getting used to this. And then you're going to say check 1, 2. And then you're going to answer, tell me about yourself.
Check 1, 2. So hi, my name is Isabella Moreno. I am a little bit about me is that I am currently a master's student, so I'm finishing my second year at the University of Arizona. I'm getting my master's in international development because I've always been really interested in like how countries develop and what development actually looks like. I'm currently applying to law school because it's been my lifelong dream to actually go to law school and help others in a way in which that actually makes an impact on their day-to-day lives. I'm not quite sure as to right now what kind of law I want to practice, maybe contract law, but at the same time, I guess my overall goal has just been to help people. So that's kind of just been the theme of my life, which is like what I'm getting my master's in and what I want to go to law school for. So yeah, it's a little bit about me.
All right, fantastic. That was awesome. Okay, next question is going to be, when you were says, yeah, tell me. So obviously, I'm going to be working more with business, women in business, right? But we will expand it over the years for
Right.
relationships and different avenues. But I want you to think, like, was there a moment in time that you realized your worth was tanked and that you needed support, like you needed coaching? So we're not going to mention herpes because there's no need to, right? But it's more about your worth. Like, do you remember a moment in time where you're
When
like,
I realized like that I needed
you
like
need support?
support, I think like it always ebbs and flows, but I would
Yeah.
probably have to say like during my college years, I realized that like I needed support, but I think it was really like when I was in those relationships that
Mhm.
was what made me kind of realize like, oh, you know what? Like I've actually like put a lot of like worth in other people, but I haven't like I keep leaving relationships super empty. So it's like
Yeah.
I want to fix that. So
Yeah.
I think maybe just like in my like early 20s
Mhm.
was when I kind of realized that like that's when like I needed support, like actual support.
Yeah, absolutely. So in context of like when you decided that you were going to work with me, obviously it was around this diagnosis,
Right.
but like, do you remember a moment you're like, I need help. I absolutely need help, where you were like maybe crying, and we kind of want to like stir up the pain when you were like, all right, enough is enough. Like, if you can remember a moment and paint that picture for me.
Yeah, I think that for me my moment was I was probably about like 19, 20
So I'm going
and
to pause you. So we're going to get that. I'm going to turn me off and we're going to say check 1, 2. And it's the moment you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not where I want to be. All
yeah.
right.
So I pretty much realized that I was at a moment where I didn't want to be when I was about 19, 20. I distinctly remember I was sitting in my car outside my apartment, just like crying on the phone to my big sister and telling her like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't really know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing with my relationships. And it kind of struck me in that moment that I was like, you know what? I actually really don't want to do this alone. I want to seek help, and I want to be supported in a way in which that can help me get back to myself, but also the truest version of myself as well.
Fantastic. All right. All right. So, so the next is, do you want to talk more about like even in relationships, you know, like how you're allowing other people to treat you, because that translates into business too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and actually while we're here too, I'm also going to pull up, I'm going to just kind of remember, I pulled up our notes from yesterday when
Yeah.
you were just like on a rant. You're like, let
Yeah.
me tell you some things you said. You said, I haven't had my voice since I was 19.
Yeah.
So I will not be treated that way.
Yeah.
Right. So let's get you
Yeah.
on fire again
Definitely.
around that. So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So I
so
guess,
remind me of the question again real fast.
yeah. So the question would be, you do you remember a time when you didn't feel like you had a voice
Right.
and you weren't, people weren't treating you well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I definitely, it's very significant for me, the times that I remember that I didn't feel like I had a voice, because when I was in that moment, it was one of those situations where I didn't realize what was happening. But when I was out of it, either a person, either I was in a business relationship or a personal relationship. And for example, in my personal relationships, if that person decided to leave and they had treated me very poorly, I would look back and be like, I wouldn't realize it during that time, but I would form to meet how they were. But I didn't realize that I was really letting myself be treated like this and almost not attracting it, but allowing it. And the thing is I didn't realize in that moment until it was after the fact, until I was out of it. And I kind of was this pattern when I realized, I was like, why am I letting people treat me like this? So yeah, I definitely remember like why, um, when I was in it, not really realizing. I knew that there was this feeling going on, but I couldn't really quite pinpoint it. But then the moment that I was out of it and started reflecting on it, I was like, oh, it's because I've been letting people treat me poorly. So yeah.
Fantastic. You're rocking it. You're rocking it. Um, So it says like, why did you originally seek my care? And we know that it was herpes, but
Mhm.
I'm wondering if we could speak more to. I remember when you were telling me, you're like, I'm not exercising anymore. You
Mhm.
know, I'm not eating as well. Like I've lost my routine
Mhm.
of why you sought my care
Yeah.
without using the word herpes.
Yeah.
But can
Definitely.
you talk a little bit about what life looked like before we start working together?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to mute
Or-
and say check 1, 2.
okay. Check one, two. So before I started working with you, I was at a place in my life to where I was just kind of on this path to where I didn't really recognize that I wasn't actually on my right path. I kind of just got into this routine of like letting others kind of not necessarily dictate my life, but just really going with the flow and like doing what others were doing and not really thinking about myself. So that looked a lot of like, I'm someone who's really spiritual and I love meditating and I love working out and eating healthy. And I was doing all the exact opposites of all that stuff. So I got to the point in my life where I realized, I want to get back to me. So I definitely sought help because I was like, I want to get back to the person that I've been and the person I am and the person that I love. And I want to be doing the things that bring me joy. And I want to get back in a very healthy routine that I continue in my life.
All right, we're almost done here. Have you ever worked with a coach before?
No, I mean, I've gone to therapy before, but not an actual coach.
Okay. And has coaching been really different for you than therapy?
Yeah, it has been different. Like in the sense that like therapy is more like I feel like I'm just talking at someone.
Yeah.
And
Could you answer this question? Like, how is getting support in your business how could I answer this? Like, how's getting a coach different from working on your worthiness with a counselor?
Yeah.
Could you answer that question? All right. Fantastic. So do check 1, 2. So the question is, how is working with me as a coach different than working with a counselor and counselors you work with in the past?
So, the difference between working with you compared to working with a counselor in the past is that while I might have felt supported by you and a counselor, it's a different type of support in the sense that it's you keep me accountable in the sense that we set goals every week. We talk about our golden nugget, we talk about challenges, but it's also like I talk about things, but then I have someone who I know is supporting me, but will also shed light in the sense of like, hey, maybe we should try approaching it in this light. Or maybe this next week, let's try journaling or doing something actually conducive, something that's actually tangible that we can do. So I think in the sense that like working with you, I felt very continuously supported. Whereas like when you go to a counselor, it's like maybe once a month. But for example, like I can check in with you, I can set goals, we can talk about those goals the next week. And I feel very supported. And it's not really like I feel like I'm obligated to do this. I want to do this because I'm working alongside someone compared to just talking at them and talking about my problems in the past month, which can be cathartic, but it's also like you leave that meeting and you don't really have those tools to continue on in life in the sense of trying to change what you just talked about. Whereas coaching is the difference of that. So yeah.
Fantastic. I don't know if I had this on recorded. I know I said it, but if you could just say the statement, now that I've worked with Dr. Kelly, something when you had said, I haven't had my voice since I was 19, but now that I've worked with Dr. Kelly, I do. Could you just say
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
Just so
Yeah.
we have it on tape. Again, somebody's going to splice this all up.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic.
Check 1, 2. So, as I was talking to Dr. Kelly, I realized that I hadn't had my voice since I was 19. But after working with her, I definitely feel supported and that I am reclaimed my power. Hmm.
Fantastic. Okay. Um, so as we've worked together, is there a specific time that you remember in us working together in these past several months that really stood out as a turning point for you? Does anyone, any like particular
There
call?
was one, but I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was a few weeks ago when we kind of tried digging deeper as to why I've been. I can
You
just speak.
got it? All right. So the question is, is there a highlight of our coaching together?
Mhm. Yeah, so I would say probably a highlight of our coaching together, what came a few months after we created that relationship. And it was in one of our sessions where we were trying to dig deeper and kind of find the pattern as to why I was feeling unworthy or why I had lost my voice. And it was through her coaching that I was able to realize why I wasn't meeting this level that I wanted to be at or why I was letting people treat me this way. And then it just clicked, and then ever since then it's just been on this way up. So it was really great.
Awesome. Okay. Um, yeah. How does your life feel now that we've worked together? Like what's different about your life now versus like day one when you were calling me and life was tough?
Hmm.
How is life different?
So life is different now in the sense that I feel continually supported, even though I don't talk to Dr. Kelly on a day-to-day basis. I feel like I have these tools that I can take with me for the rest of my life, but also in the sense that I've reclaimed my power and knowing that I am a phenomenal woman, but I also do deserve the best life possible for myself, and I can create that for myself.
Good, good, good. That was hot. All right. Have would you be able to make any comparisons of like my work from like reading books or like any other people who you follow, like big names like Mel Robbins, or like do you follow any like spiritual or
I mean,
like
I
big name people?
yeah, I follow like so Deepak Chopra,
Yeah.
Oprah. Um,
So the question would be like, how is this different? How is this different than like following other leaders and having that personal touch? Like if you could do
yeah.
some name drops, like, I follow Deepak, I love so-and-so, like whoever it is that you love in the realm of spirituality and personal growth. And how has this been different? How's this making
Sure.
a greater impact on your life?
Yeah. So, in the past and even now, I follow Deepak Chopra and his meditations, and Gabrielle Bernstein. I've read her books, and while they're all wonderful and have definitely helped and been good stepping stones, working with Dr. Kelly has been really amazing because it's actually putting into action everything that I've read. So it's actually working with someone who's like, hey, you know what? Like, let's take everything that we've learned and everything that we've observed, but put it into our lives and actually into action. Because the thing is, it's one thing reading about it and feeling it, but it's another really enacting it in your life. And that's exactly what happens when you work with Dr. Kelly.
All right. So last question. If you met someone on the street and they said, hey, I'm thinking about working with Dr. Kelly, it's important. Wait a second. It's important that they say you need to do this. I was skeptical at first. Oh, were you skeptical before you worked with me a little bit? Like we had never met. I mean, it's
Yeah.
an investment to work with me,
Right.
right? So could you speak to, if you met someone on the street and they're like, should I work with Dr. Kelly? And even your skepticism and the investment in you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely at first I was a little skeptical about working with Dr. Kelly just because I was in another state. As I had mentioned, I was going through some interesting points in my life. And so that probably led to a little bit of me being skeptical. But at the same time, like if I were to meet someone who wanted to start working with her, I would say just go into the uncertainty because she really does set you up in such a good way in which you actually do see the progress and you actually do see your investment in this coaching. And it's I would definitely recommend coaching by Dr. Kelly at some point in your life because it's like it's one thing to do it on your own, but it's another to be continually supported. So it's definitely worth the investment, even if you're a little skeptical. I say just go with it. Mm.
I think that's it. It's a
Awesome.
wrap. Fantastic. How was that
Cool.
for you? Was that pretty cool?
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me do this.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And
Yeah,
thank
of
you some
course.
more. All
Yeah.
right. You're a rock star. You're a rock
Thanks.
star. Keep it going.
I will. You too. And then I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, you got some time. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one.
All right. Have a great weekend.
Bye, you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.